and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. I'm Priscilla. I'm the owner of A Life Full of Simplicity. Today I'll be going over my September reflections. So these videos cover my own personal practice, the decks that I use, spreads that I do, so pretty much tarot readings or readings that I do for myself, as well as any new divination things that have come into my collection, new books I've read, as well as some YouTube videos that I wanted to spotlight because I found them really interesting and wanted to share with you. So before I get into my daily decks, I did want to thank everyone who answered my survey and gave me feedback. It was really appreciated, and I'm going to be making some changes for the new year, and I'm going to be making changes starting now with this series here. So I'm really excited, and I hope that you enjoy the changes to this particular video series. So the changes are going to be as follows. I'm actually going to start by going through all the decks that I used and really just explaining how I use them, how I like them, if I have any opinions about them. Then we're going to go through, my individual practices and spreads that I did throughout the month of September. Then I'll go into new things, books, and YouTube. So books and new things, books, and YouTube doesn't really change, just the beginning portion changes. So let's get into it. The first decks that I want to talk about are the Crow Tarot and Urban Crow Oracle. Both are by MJ Cullinane. The Crow Tarot is published by US Games, and the Urban Crow Oracle is published by Hay House. So let's move these to the side here and talk about and go through the cards. Okay, so I've zoomed us in a bit to take a look at the cards. First, we're going to start with the Urban Crow Oracle. Since this was a newer deck to my collection, it did come into my collection in August, the month it released, but like a few weeks after it released. So these are the backs. So I have to say that I really enjoyed working with this deck, actually. I really enjoyed the keywords that were on the cards. I did work with the guidebook a bit. I usually do when it comes to Oracle. When it's a new deck, I like to work with the guidebook and see what MJ has to say about her cards, and she created them. But sometimes the word was very intuitive for me, and I just went with that instead. And I don't know, I found it to be very intuitive at most times. Like I was able to just write my reflection for the day. This was my daily card in the focus position. So this was my focus for the month, like my day-to-day, because this was my daily deck. And I just really enjoyed the imagery and working with it. And the way it paired with the Crow Tarot was fantastic. So as a focus, this was really perfect, in my opinion. I got some great messages, some great things to think about. Definitely had some repeating cards, which I'll talk about after. But yes, I did get this card at one point in my dailies. I got this one quite a bit. This one quite a bit. That's funny. So yes, I really enjoyed working with this particular deck. I do have an unboxing coming of this particular deck. It'll be coming in October. I wanted to do the crows right and give them their moment to shine during spooky month. So yes, the unboxing is coming of this particular deck. That was my first impressions, though. It was filmed when I got it. So yes, I'm really excited to get into this. more at some other point, but I think for now, I've enjoyed my time with it, and I've definitely moved on. In October, I have other decks that I'm working on, or working with rather. So I also use the Crow Tarot with this particular deck. It had been a while since I've used this deck, to be honest with you. Yeah, I hadn't picked it up in quite a bit, though it's still a great reader, even though I hadn't used it in quite a while. And I enjoyed having finally the perfect pairing for it. Since that's what I prefer when it comes to my own daily practice, I prefer to have a pairing with a tarot and oracle. And this was my advice for my daily practice. So the tarot was the advice, the oracle was the focus. And I feel like I got really good messages in terms of advice when I pulled whatever oracle it was that I pulled for the day. They just worked really well together, in my opinion. And the messages I was getting daily were very cohesive. So yes, I do have an unboxing of this on my channel, or rather a flip through of it on my channel, which I flipped through the deck last spooky month. So yes, super excited for this deck. Very nice. Love it. Love it. Love it. So yes, great pairing. Very, very happy with these two particular decks. Then we get into my runes, which is my witch's runes that my friend made me. I love these so much. They're so pretty. So I use this as part of my daily practice as well. So this was what I pulled after pulling a focus card, and then the advice card. I would pull a rune, to witch's rune specifically, to end the reading. Now there's only 13 of these, so getting repeats of these runes is very easy, and I got a lot of repeating runes for these. I enjoyed my time working with these the last several months since I received them from my friend. I've been using them since I received them, and I've enjoyed them very much. I now know every single witch's rune. I know what they all mean, so very intuitive with them now since I've been working with them for several months. And it's very easy for me to work with these now. So I decided to transition to actual runes, you know, the Elder Futhark runes. And those are hard. So that one's going to be a challenge, but I'm up for the challenge and I'm excited. Very excited that I learned witches runes though, because I've had a very fun time using these in my practice. Then we get into the decks that I use for my planetary work. Now, I wanted to, I guess, address something before I talk about this particular deck, and I'm not even going to talk long about it. We all know. We all know about it already. So, yes, I was supposed to use this for the entire month. I was supposed to use it for my planetary work, and that's what I had chosen to do because I wanted to get to know this deck more because I was planning a series on it and all that jazz. And then I found out on the 16th some troubling things, I have to say, some very troubling things about the creator of this deck. And that morning I decided that I was no longer going to use it as part of my planetary work. And I even thought about omitting it from this video, but this video is supposed to be about my personal practice and the decks that I use in it. And I always want to be, you know, honest and transparent and whatnot in my videos. That's really the values that I uphold when it comes to myself and my channel. So I definitely wanted to still include a little bit about my time with this particular deck. Now, I did address my own thing when it came to this particular deck on my community tab. You have to scroll quite a bit. So I did share Sparkle Divine Tarot's video in regards to this, and I wrote a whole thing about this particular thing that was happening at the time, in regards to this situation that was happening. So I did say, you know what, I'll just read it. If you don't want to listen to this and you don't even want to hear about this deck, I will put a timestamp on the screen so you can fast forward to the Seed and Sickles. If you don't want to even hear about that deck, I will put another timestamp so you can fast forward to my weekly practice, the deck that I use for my weekly practice, and then you can just do that if that suits you. If not, I will go ahead and read what I wrote here on my community tab 2 weeks ago. So 2 weeks ago from today, I wrote, so I wanted to address something that I found out this morning about the creator of the Metaphysical Cannabis Oracle. I saw an Instagram story shared by the amazing The Waves of Our Soul, of Your Soul, this morning in regards to the below a video from Sparkle Divine Tarot and what she went through following a review of the Oracle deck. So I had agreed to sit down with the creator and be a guest on her podcast after she watched my unboxing of her deck that I had received from Liminal 11 for the purposes of review in a series I wanted to create on my channel surrounding it. And that's the reason I got the deck, by the way. So I'm the one who reached out to Liminal 11, and I pretty much I stated, that I would love to create a series with this deck on my channel, and they agreed. They loved the idea, and they sent me the deck. That's originally why I received it, just to be honest. They did not send it to me, or like I wasn't one of the people that was going to be getting it for review. I reached out myself. I found her to be very nice and professional. I looked at the podcast, saw that she had done an episode, with the Tarot Lady, and figured that this would be a great opportunity for me. If I had known about this a day or two earlier, I would have never agreed to be on her podcast. Now, I did agree to be on her podcast literally weeks before we actually sat down. And we sat down actually that week that everything was happening, but I didn't find out until Friday because I actually was not following anyone on Instagram that this was happening to, so I didn't know about anything that was going on until Maureen, the person that owns The Waves of Your Soul, until I saw her share the post, and I was like, whoa, what's going on? So I wrote here, so I would never have agreed to be on her podcast. But it's done, and I can't dwell on regrets. Instead, I made the decision this morning after reading about the whole situation to not continue filming the series I had planned. I had filmed already 2 videos, and I deleted the videos I did film and emailed Liminal 11 letting them know I would not be able to fulfill my commitment because I no longer feel comfortable doing so. They did answer me back, and they understood completely, and we left it at that. So as someone who has been bullied in the past for many years of my life, I do not condone or support those who bully others. Reviewing decks is supposed to be done unbiased and with honesty. And I truly believe that Havana did just that. I did watch her video. There was nothing wrong with her video. She had some good points. She said some good things. She had concerns. She voiced them. She did so in a respectful and professional way. So I don't understand why anyone would have a problem with what she said. But anyway, I don't know. It's fine for people to disagree with an opinion, but do so with respect. We're not all going to agree on everything, and life would be boring if we did. But being rude and being a bully is not the way to go. And then I just stated to close out, my channel is always a safe place to share your opinion. If you do not agree with mine, I actually encourage that, as it allows me to see things from a different perspective and see where others are coming from. So never be afraid to share constructive feedback. And then I wrote at the end, feel free to check out Sparkle Divine's channel and videos. And yeah, I got some comments. Havana answered. She thanked me for the sports and everything. And yeah, that was what I said, and that's what I addressed. And I'm going to leave it at that and move on from all that jazz. So the only thing I wanted to say, I only worked with it from literally the 1st to the 15th. I'm not even going to take it out of the box. Was that the cards that I did get from within my practice, I resonated with most of the keywords There were a few keywords that I was just like, I'm not really into this. There was, I think, one card that I'll talk about that I didn't really understand. And, you know, I'm not well versed in this universe. I don't use cannabis. Like, this is not my, like, cup of tea when it comes to these kind of things. I really wanted the deck because I love the artwork. The artist is Canadian and I'm Canadian, and I really wanted to support the artist. But yeah, I will say that a lot of the cards that I pulled, I found to be great in my own personal opinion and for me personally. And I did resonate with them. There was only a couple that I didn't, I wasn't sure about because I'm not familiar in this particular universe, I guess, is what I'm going to say on that. And then I decided to move to the Seed and Sickle Oracle deck because I do love this deck very much. And felt like it was a great time of year to pull it out. So I switched to this from the 16th to the rest of the month as my planetary. And yeah, really, what can I say? I love this deck very much. There's no keywords on the cards. And, you know, there's 2 guidebooks, so I can't really say I wish there was keywords on the cards because the creator does go 2 different ways. But I do love that there's indexes in the guidebooks where there's just keywords if you don't want to read like the large little paragraph on each card, which is usually what I go to because I prefer more intuitive reading with keywords. That's more my spiel when it goes to inspiring myself to write my little write-up that I do for my planetary work to go with the planet. That's in that specific day of the week. So I enjoyed working with this very much. I think we've seen cards already from this particular deck, and I do have an unboxing of this on my channel. This deck actually was sent to me for review, so I do have I love this deck so much. The artwork is beautiful. I'm actually thinking about, since it's separated into seasons, I'm kind of thinking about in January doing some work with this particular deck, but only working with the lighting. Sorry guys, it's night here, so I have to have a light on or else no one will be able to see anything. Okay, maybe if I do this. So yeah, I was thinking of possibly working with this deck in January and just going through the cards for winter specifically, because winter will be until when the spring equinox is. So I was thinking of working with those cards in some way. I just have to figure out how. So yeah, that was the other deck that I used for my planetary work. So next I want to talk about the deck that I use for our weekly practice. So this is the Priestess of Light Oracle. This is by Sandra Ann Taylor and Kimberly Weber. It's published by Hay House. And I picked this up end of June, beginning of July, something like that. And I hadn't worked with it yet. And I don't really have a tarot to pair with it, to be honest with you. So I felt like it would be a great opportunity to work with it on its own. So yeah, I love the artwork on this particular deck. I think it's gorgeous. I think I posted my unboxing of it already. If so, it'll be linked down below in the description, like always. I love that there's a title and keywords. So it's very interesting because you can use either the title to work with or you can use the keywords to work with. And I found that really interesting. And I use this for 2 different practices in my weekly. So I used it for my weekly pull, where I would pull a card for the week. It would be in my planner. I would do the sigil associated with it. And then I would do also a weekly spread where I would pull 2 cards and they would be like for, you know, I guess like the energy for the week. and the suggested approach for the week. And it was very interesting working with this deck in two ways. I found the messages that I got for just my weekly poll were very straightforward, very easy to understand as a focus. And then you have the energy and the suggested approach. And I found the suggested approach a little more difficult to get through. And it's probably because I was like, how am I turning this into a suggested approach? So that was interesting. I really enjoyed that practice though, because it challenged me. And I love when things challenge me. Honestly, I find it to be gives me knowledge, gives me wisdom, gives me experience, which I enjoy. So I definitely love when things challenge me and then I can overcome that challenge. So this definitely challenged me and I definitely enjoyed working with it. And I'll probably work with it again. I just need to find a tarot to pair it with. Tarot that would look good and that's not too expensive. Because I know the Moon Child by Danielle Noel would look really nice with this. But I just don't have the funds currently to get that deck because it's quite expensive. Though it is Canadian, so it's not too bad compared to like if I was buying it from the US. It's only 65 Canadian. I don't know how much shipping is, but not too bad compared to if it was in USD, because then it would bring it up to like 80 something Canadian, and then shipping over $100. So not too bad, but still I don't have funds right now for that deck. But yes, I love this card so much. Oh, Harvest, Gathering of Blessings, so beautiful. And yes, the backs, look at them, they're so pretty. I love them so much. But yes, this deck was fantastic to work with, and I'm excited to show you the cards that kept coming up for me when I was using this deck. Then we have the Simple Sunday Spread by Boho Tarot. Dawn Michelle has a Facebook group and she does a Sunday spread every single Sunday that she posts. And last month, I used the same decks as my daily. I felt last month that wasn't really practical for me and really wanted different energy for this particular spread. So I decided to use these two. I really actually wanted to use this for my daily because I wasn't sure if I was going to be getting the Urban Crow Oracle. So I was like, I don't know. I don't really want to just use the Crow Oracle by itself because that's not really my practice when it comes to my daily. So I was like, maybe I'll use this for my daily. But then I ended up getting the Oracle and switched it out and made these my Sunday decks instead. So yeah, I actually got this last year. Yeah, I think I got it last year, and I actually had not really worked with it yet, actually, which is funny. I don't know why I hadn't worked with it. Like, I think I worked with it a little bit, but not too much, which is unfortunate because I really loved working with this particular deck, with the Greenwich Tarot. So let's see. Very simplistic, I will say that. Sometimes I found the keyword to be intuitive. Other times I felt like I needed a little bit more, so I dived into the guidebook to read the oracle message. Now, this deck does come with an oracle message. It comes with like cultivation information for each of the plants or vegetables or fruits or whatever is on the card. And it comes with like different pairings like deities, symbols, astrology, and all that stuff. Like, it comes with all kinds of things in the guidebook. So the guidebook is really detailed. I do have an unboxing of this on my channel from last year. It'll be linked in the description box as always. But yeah, sometimes I was good, and other times I was like, I don't know. This is not clear to me. And the way I use this deck in particular for that Simple Sunday spread, so the way that Dawn does her spreads is she has a question, and then she has 3 points that go with that question. And the way I wanted to do it, it's supposed to be a 3-card spread, but the way I wanted to do it was I wanted to pick an oracle that answered the main question, and that would be my overall focus for the spread. And then pull 3 cards from the Greenwich Tarot that would answer the 3 points. So I did 4 cards instead of 3. But I really enjoyed working with this for the Sunday spreads. I have to say that I felt like the Sunday spreads, I got some really good messages out of it, which I definitely really enjoyed. So yeah. And then we had the Greenwich Tarot, which I'm sure a lot of people have seen already. This deck is very popular. It's from Llewellyn. The guidebook's not in here right now. So yeah, these are the backs. And I really enjoy this particular deck. I do have an unboxing of this on my channel as well, I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure I posted that last year. They do rename some of the major arcana and things like that. Like this is the Lover's card. But I love the moodiness of this deck and the fall vibes that it gives. Oh, sorry, my light. Here, let's do that so it doesn't get too much of the light. Yeah, this is the Temperance card. And I did feel that the messages I was getting for the 3 points that I was pulling them for were interesting, definitely eye-opening in my opinion, which you'll see when we go into it. Like I will show the spreads and the cards that I pulled and things like that. So I did feel that they were eye-opening to me each Sunday. Things to focus on, things that I needed to, I guess, know and really understand and realize. So that was great. I love these spreads so much, and I think I'm going to keep doing them till the end of the year because I find them to be like a really fun practice that I added in. So yes. So yeah, that was the Greenwich Tarot. Then we have my moon decks, which are the Moonology Oracle cards by Yasmin Ballon, Nyx Rowan. This is published by Hay House. And then the Muse Tarot by Chrisanne, and this is also published by Hay House. So yeah, the way I work with the Moonology cards is really simple. I literally just pull the card for the moon. So if it's a new moon, Scorpio, I pull it out and I use it as my focus to focus on that particular moon's energy. And that's really it. So I don't really use this as an oracle deck like other people do. It's really just for moon work, and that's all I use it for. Very simple, very, very simple and easy. So yes. And then when I do my spread, so I'll pull the card for, you know, the moon. And then I will use a deck to do an actual moon spread. I don't remember which spreads I did this month. Most of the time I either do AP Astrology or like the Current Hermit. Or, you know, I don't know, some spreads that I find around that I enjoy. I always say who the spreads are by when I talk about them, so... yeah, I love this deck. I wanted to give this deck some love because I hadn't used it in forever. And I saw someone else using it with this deck, and I was like, oh wow, that's a perfect fit. Like, it was such a good pairing, and absolutely loved it. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna use this for myself. So I did, though this month, because it's Spooky Month, I am using a different pairing. For the moon, I'm still using this deck, but with a different deck for the month, for Spooky Month. I wanted to be a little bit spooky in that sense, for this particular month. So yes, now we're going to get into my duplicated cards or repeating cards that were stalking me within my daily planetary and weekly practices, and then we'll move into spreads. So in regards to my daily practice and the Urban Crow Oracle, I would say that I had 5 particular cards that came up. They all came up twice, which was really funny. I found that very interesting that they only came up 2 times each. So, yes. Okay, so the first one was abundance. So I took this to mean, exactly what it says. So gaining some kind of abundance, whether that be skill-wise, monetary-wise, success-wise. That was really the card that I got twice, and I was thinking of when I interpreted the card. It was really about gaining some kind of abundance. Great card in my opinion. So yes. Then I pulled territory as the second that came up twice. For me, I would say that I interpreted this as like my space, maybe boundaries, boundaries not being met or respected in terms of my space or me personally. Then I received this card, warning. Now, I didn't really know. This was one of the cards that I was like, okay, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Why am I getting warnings? So when I read the guidebook, I took it to mean more in the sense of signs. So really watching the signs that are coming towards me, taking that and making sure that I'm implementing different things that are being shown. I don't know if I took it as a bad thing in a sense. I guess maybe if I'm not paying attention to those signs, maybe something would happen. But yeah, that's pretty much what I took it to mean. Then we have routine, and that's pretty self-explanatory. I was like, oh, okay, routine, building a schedule, being, I don't know, just having a planning out things for myself, just having a routine, a schedule of some sort. So that made sense. More sticking to a schedule. I think I interpreted it more as sticking to a schedule, maybe not deviating from my routine and things like that. And then the last one was mimicry. This to me is like, I don't know, copying or something. Let me see how did I interpret this as? Right. Okay. So I interpreted this as being your authentic self. So I think the guidebook was talking about like copying others, things like that, but I think I interpreted it being as like being your authentic self, not making sure that you're not being like others, that you should be your own individual self, you're unique in that sense. I'm pretty sure I took it to mean that. So those were the cards that I got for the Oracle. Now, in terms of the tarot, I only had 2 repeating cards. Just 2. They were rough. They were rough cards. The Ten of Swords and the Tower. Okay. The Tower came up twice for me. The Ten of Swords, however, came up 5 times. 5 times. Like, what's going on? I don't know. I still don't. And I don't know if it was because it was just a rough beginning of the month, because I literally, September 1st, I got the Tower. September 2nd, I got the Ten of Swords. Then the 3rd, my deck gave me a break. Then on the 4th, I got the Ten of Swords again. Then on the 6th, I got the Ten of Swords again. I'm not even joking. It's like, well, what in the world? And then we had some time. We had not too much time. Let's say 2 days. And then I got it again on the 9th. Or maybe it was 6 times. How many times did I get this? Oh my god, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, I think I only got it 5. 5 times. Oh, or maybe it was only 4. I swear I got it 5 times. Oh my God. No, I guess I only got it 4 times. So I only got it 4 times, but it felt like it came at me 5 times. Maybe it did somewhere else. I don't even know. But yes, it was rough. It was rough. And then I got the tower again on the 20th. So, yes, it was rough. It was definitely rough to get these as repeating cards, but it is what it is, whatever. I'm not going to sweat it. It's okay. It's all good. A lot of the time I was like talking about fear and not letting fear hold me back. It really depended. So the way I interpreted these was dependent on what my focus was, because this was advice for the focus. So really I would go in like the particular direction of where the focus was, and it would be like a story trickling down. So yes, fears, doubts, be weary of certain things. The tower is really just change, take it as it is, whether you want to or not type of thing. So yes, these were my repeating cards for the tarot for my daily. And then we have the witch's runes. So witch's runes, oh my god, you have so many repeating, mainly because there's only 13 of them. So your variety is like, this is kind of lacking. Like you can really get multiple again and again. So crossroads, the scythe, flight, woman, the blank one, eye, the moon, and the star. These were all the ones that repeated for me throughout the month, which is fine, It's all good. These are all pretty decent. All pretty decent runes in my opinion. And again, you can interpret them all differently depending on how you interpreted the above. So like the tarot and the oracle. So the interpretation changed depending on what was going on with the focus and advice. So this was my daily repeating cards and runes. So then I have my weekly practice. So in the beginning of the month, from again the 1st to the 15th, the only repeating card that I had was let me look at it because pronunciation is not my strong suit. Sarania Uwa. So this card here. And I got this card literally 2 days in a row. So on the 1st and the 2nd. This card is supposed to be the equivalent to the Empress in the tarot, the Major Arcana Tarot. And I actually really love this card. So a card to get 2 days in a row, fine by me. I'm okay with that. It's a great card. And it felt like it really fit the planets that I had them for. So we had Jupiter here with nurture your path and growth for where you are headed. And then we had Venus, which is nurture yourself and the love you should have for yourself. So great card to get in terms of repeating, in my opinion. The only 2 other things that I wanted to mention was that I got on the 13th and the 14th, I got creation solo and creation partnered, which is funny because these actually are literally one after each other in the guidebook and in the deck themselves. So these two particular cards here. Now, I did have some issues with the keywords. Like I wasn't really, I guess, into the keywords here. We have solo magic, and then here we have sex magic, which whatever, they don't resonate to me personally. So I did use the guidebook for these particular. No, this one I didn't use the guide. This one I used the guidebook for to get my interpretation. I really just went with this, which is like take time for yourself. So this was like self-care in my opinion. And then this, I went with the partnered portion of, so I went with the title instead of the keyword. And I put you cannot work well with others without good communication, because it talked about communication, I think, in the guidebook, which I don't know. I was a little confused, but these two confused me a little bit. In terms of what it said in the guidebook. Well, not this one, because this one talked about self-care, but this one confused me because it was like disconnect with what was going on in the card. So yes, I got these two. I found this was really funny. A lot of synchronicity here with getting this one, the next day getting this one, in my opinion. So I wanted to make note of it. And then there was one other thing that it was really hard for me. So this card in particular, Thrive, Brevity, keyword is tolerance. I got that for sun, and I was like, how am I supposed to interpret this? Like, I was so like, tolerance. The sun is about self, it's about vitality, main concerns. So I was like, yeah, I don't know. So I looked in the guidebook and it was talking about ancestors, and I went with that. So I was like, your ancestors contribute to your self identity, embrace that. That's what I went with. This one was another one that confused me as well. I was a little confused with this as well. So there was some things that came up that I wasn't really sure about as I was working with this particular deck, but then I stopped using it, and here we are. So yes, then I went on to the Seed and Sickle, and I only got two cards that came up twice. Crocus, which I received also for Venus, and Crocus here on the 29th, which I received for Jupiter. Then I got Mandrake 2 days in a row, which was pretty funny in my opinion. Now for the keywords for this particular deck, I did go with the Dusk guidebook for the keywords. The Dusk guidebook is about, let me check. Can't remember. I think it's about self-improvement or something. Let's see. Here we go. The booklet contains the Dusk readings for the cards for when you're looking for guidance on how to best take care of your body and mind. That's the one I went with, because I was like, yes, please. I love it. I love it so much. Because the other one's about projects. So I was like, I'm not using this for projects right now. So yeah, but I think, as I was saying earlier, I think in the new year, I'm going to work with the cards by season, and I'm going to work with both guidebooks in terms of projects and in terms of mind and body. So we're going to see how that goes. I want to do something fun. Maybe I'll film it for the channel as I go through it and see what I do. So yes. So I really enjoyed these two cards that I got. So for the Mandrake, I got them 2 days in a row. I did take time working through your emotions. There's no need to rush, because the key word for this was no rushing, or no need to rush. And then I got it again the next day, but in the Mars position, and I put take your time. The action you take towards your goals count more than the speed. Loved what I came up with in terms of this, because I remembered the keyword was no rush, and then I was like, oh yeah, this is good. I really liked what I wrote here. And then for Crocus, I think it was opinion or voicing opinions, and I wrote your opinions should be voiced with love for the Venus. And then for the Jupiter, I wrote grow into your assertiveness to be able to own and voice your opinion. So yeah, I thought that was fun. Assertiveness, because that's one of the keywords for Jupiter in that particular sense. So I'm really enjoying this practice. I do always leave down below in the description box Kyra Getchel's videos for this particular practice. She has two, I think, where she talks about this. And I really am glad that I picked this up from her, because I love it so much. Honestly, I've been really enjoying doing this each month in my planner. And I'm going to be continuing it in my new planner when I move to it in January. So I'm definitely excited to keep doing this. And I've really been enjoying it. It's really fun. Really, really fun. So then we get into my weekly repeating cards. But before that, I wanted to share my sigils for the week. So I have my Inner Strength and True Self sigil here. For this particular week, I got the Courage card, which is Strength, Fairness, and Family. This is how I interpreted it. Then we have Creativity and Goals. And I got building your world, creation, expansion, networking. Then we have creativity and inner power. And I pulled the divine masculine card. Then we have reclaiming your power. And I pulled power over difficulty. And I went with the keyword which is, or key phrase, reclaiming your power. And then I think this was the last one. Yeah, the last one. Personal and spiritual healing. I really love how this one came out. It looks great. And then healing earth, the power to give and receive healing. So yeah, that was my sigils and the cards I pulled for the 4 weeks. So I got healing earth, power over difficulty, and then divine masculine. These came up repeating both. So I pulled it in my weekly card, but then I pulled it again during my weekly reading, which was really interesting. So yeah, these all 3 came up in my weekly cards, and then I pulled them in my weekly reading at some other time that they weren't on my like alterish kind of space. So I thought that was really fun. I feel like they all have the same vibe in them, in the sense that we have here reclaiming your power, here we have active power, and this one's the power to give and receive healing. So they all deal with some kind of power, which I thought was very interesting when I realized that these all 3 were repeating. And I was like, power, I guess there's something I need to work on in terms of that. So yeah, there's something I gotta work on in terms of power. Maybe connecting with my own personal power, or connecting with my own divine power, the power that makes me who I am, kind of thing. That's what I'm going to go with. And yeah, I thought that was very interesting. I wanted to share that in terms of my weekly. I didn't get any repeating cards for my Sunday spreads. They were all different cards, so nothing to show there. Now we're going to go into these spreads that I did for the entire month. And I'm going to go in order. So for my spreads, I actually did quite a lot this month, though my last few spreads were done later than I would have liked, but they were still done. They were still completed, which is not as big of a deal. So the first spread that I did, I'm going to go in order and yeah, talk about the spreads that I did. So the first spread was the next week tarot spread. Did use Oracle with this. This is by Oracle of Stardust on Instagram. And I used my Priestess of Light Oracle. So the first question is next week's overall energy. And I pulled duality, which says many meanings, misunderstanding. So I interpreted this as like that I need to open myself up to like new or like different experiences that will allow me to have a better understanding of myself. And then the next question was next week's suggested approach. And I pulled Earth Magic, which has keywords fearlessness, removing obstacles, and I interpret this as, remove whatever that could be blocking me from listening well to others. This could be my own ego getting in my way. And I need to remember that I don't need to agree with everything that someone says. So, yes. So that was the first spread that I did. I'm just going to put the cards here. And then the next spread I did was a simple month ahead reading. This is by Angel Lorium. Found this on Pinterest. I used the Crow Tarot. So the first question is major. So you have to pick a major card, and it's main development theme in the month ahead. And I pulled Judgment. And this was about acceptance and listening to my inner voice, so listening to my intuition. Then the next one is a court card, and it's best mental attitude to cultivate, and I pulled the Knight of Pentacles. And this is, about hard work and determination. And, when you're determined, you end up working harder towards, the goals that you want and things. Then the third one that I pulled was a minor card, and this is supposed to be action advice. And I pulled the Six of Swords, which I interpreted as leave behind things that don't help you to reach goals or, hinder me from like listening to my intuition in that regard. So this was my month ahead reading. Then I moved on to the Simple Sunday spread. This is by Boho Tarot. I use both the Green Witch Oracle and the Green Witch Tarot for this. So the main question is, how can I slow down and be more present? And I pulled energy. This was definitely interesting, but also a little confusing at the same time. I interpreted this as, by understanding what my true purpose is. I was like, being more present in everything that I do or put hard work towards, that would go towards like my energy or like the energy that I was spending and things like that. And then the 3 points, so it goes into 3 points. The first point is disconnect from, and I pulled the Two of Swords. Ooh, can you see that? Here we go, Two of Swords. And I interpret this as disconnecting from compromises and needing to slow down and being more present and not needing to compromise this particular thing of being present. So not letting compromises get in the way of being present, pretty much. Second point was focus on this, and I pulled the Fool. And I interpret this as focusing on potential. The potential of like going forward and being present and things like that. Third point was learn from this, and I pulled the Wheel of Fortune, and I interpreted this as learning to make improvements in my life that give me the potential of, slowing down in life and literally enjoying life and being in that present moment. So that was the Simple Sunday spread. Then we move on to a new week. So a new weekly spread, again by Oracle of Stardust, still using the Priestess of Light. Next week's overall energy, I pulled Healing Earth, which is the power to give and receive healing. This I interpreted as having the power to connect to healing energies that can allow more of a positive impact into my life. That's pretty much what I interpreted that as, like the gist of it. And then next week's suggested approach, I pulled Divine Masculine. And I interpreted this as being productive and creative with this particular energy from the Healing Earth. And, that I'm in control, I have structure in my life, and I could be productive in anything I set my mind to. So that's pretty much what I interpreted this as. Then I decided that I wanted to do a new deck interview spread. This is by the Current Hermit, and I used the Modern Hue Tarot. So it was a new tarot deck that I received for review and have in my collection. You may have seen this last month, and I do have an unboxing of it on my channel. So the first question is, what is the energy of this deck? And I pulled the Queen of Cups, and I interpreted it as balanced and intuitive. Next question is, what is my initial energy when I interact with this deck? And I pulled the Star card, and I interpreted that as purpose. So the initial energy is like purposeful in a way, and it comes with like intention that allows for like a renewal in a sense, is what I interpreted that as. Third question is, what might I learn about myself when using this deck? And I pulled the Emperor card. And then I interpreted that I'm more powerful than I realize. I just need to tap more into that inner power. And then lastly, what kind of growth might this deck inspire in me? And I pulled the Ace of Swords, and I literally interpreted that as it will inspire new ideas for me to pursue. So yes, really loved this interview spread. The Current Hermit on Instagram has some great spreads. So yes. Then we move into the full moon. So I did the full moon in Pisces spread by AP_astrology on Instagram. I used my Moonology Oracle plus the Muse Tarot. So of course I pulled my Moonology card, which was full moon in Pisces, balance, spirituality, and practicality. So this was my energy. I pretty just wrote that I need to make more of an effort towards my goals. First question in this reading was, what does this full moon have to teach me or illuminate to me? And I pulled the Strength card. And I interpreted that as I need to trust more in my own inner power. Pretty much, just reaching within myself and allowing that power to shine, or allowing my inner self to shine. Next question was, what actionable step can I take based on this illumination? And I pulled the Tower. So making some unexpected changes that shift my mindset is how I interpreted that. Then the third question was, what do I need to integrate or embody most this full moon? And I pulled the Hanged Muse, so the Hangman. And I pretty much interpreted this as embodying a shift in perspective. So this was my full moon spread, and I really enjoyed it. It was really good. Definitely eye-opening with that Tower card, I have to say. Then I did a spread for the Mercury retrograde in Libra, and I used Mystico House, who's on Instagram. I used their spread, but I feel like their spread was longer than what I have. So I think I only did 3 of the questions. So the first question I did was, how will Mercury retrograde most significantly affect you? And I pulled the Devil card. And I used the Wild Unknown Pocket Edition for this particular spread. And I interpreted this as that it may impact me negatively, it may hold me back a bit. And that, I need to free myself from that kind of mindset, even though it did actually impact in a negative sense negatively. So yes, definitely was a rough Mercury retrograde, I do have to say. Second question was, how can you best cope with misunderstandings and emotional confusion? I pulled the 4 of Cups. And pretty much I interpret this as not taking things for granted, seeking support when I need it and things like that. Trying to truly understand what went wrong, how I can change it is really what I got from the 4 of Cups. And then the last question I did was, where can you embrace healing of past events and relationships? And I got the 8 of Wands, which I interpreted as through change is where I can embrace. And I said that, you can't heal from the past without actually putting in the work to change, which I think is very important when it comes to changing things, when it comes to the past and whatnot. So that was my Mercury retrograde spread. Definitely a doozy. Then we go into another simple Sunday spread. Again, Boho Tarot, Greenwich Tarot, Greenwich Oracle. The initial question was, how can I release my assumptions about myself? And I pulled Happiness. And I interpreted this as by changing my mindset, or like the way I think, and like the way I think about how I view myself. So yeah, definitely a way to release, for sure. And then, of course, we have 3 different points. So the first one was acknowledge, and I pulled the Page of Cups. And I need to acknowledge what I should be focused on when it comes to myself, and stop letting myself get distracted by things that, affect my emotions and how I feel about myself. So definitely some empowering things right there. Very deep in my opinion, some shadow work energy. So yes, and then the second point was appreciate, and I pulled the Emperor. And pretty much I interpreted this as, or the gist of it was like, that I need to appreciate who I am. Then the third point was connect, and I pulled the Two of Pentacles, and I need to connect more to balance is what I need to connect to. So that was the simple Sunday spread that I did for that week. Then we go into a new week and another next week spread. First question was next week's overall energy. I pulled Sacred Purpose with keywords Eternal Flame, Astral Legacy, or Ancestral Legacy rather. And then the way I interpreted this particular card was balancing my life with my soul purpose, which was very interesting. You know, pretty much not letting what you are passionate about burn out. So keeping that purpose that you're meant to keep. And then for next week's suggested approach, I pulled rather, Wings of Light, and I interpreted this as continue to work at things you love this week. So work at things you love that contribute to things you're passionate about and to your purpose in life. So yeah, that was definitely a good reading for the week. I didn't do any other spreads this week, that particular week that we were in, which was the 12th. So literally went straight to another simple Sunday spread. So the first question was, how can I tune into my emotions? And I got productivity, which was a really odd card to get. I was very confused by it. And I interpreted this as through the learned experience of knowing when to listen to yourself and the hard work you put into the actions you take surrounding your emotions. That's how I interpreted productivity. So yes. And then the first point was allow, and I pulled a judgment card. So, you know, allow yourself to have accountability, pretty much. Only you can control your emotions. Only you can listen to them, and only you can make necessary changes to be one with them is pretty much the gist of that in that sense in regards to the judgment card. And then in terms of point 2, which was accept, I pulled the Chariot, and I pretty much interpreted this as accepting that you know your emotions well, that you are the best and know how to move forward with them and be confident with them. And then lastly, in terms of release, I got the Sun card. So I pretty much interpreted this as release anything that hinders your own happiness, right? Like, why would you keep anything in your life that makes you unhappy? So yeah, this was the simple Sunday spread that I did. And then from that, we just went into another next week tarot spread. So next week's overall energy, I pulled innovation, which is new creations. So I interpreted this as, you know, just really it's all about creative energy. So that was really the energy for the week. I needed to be creative in some sense. Then next week's suggested approach, I pulled balance. So balance the creative energy with the everyday life is pretty much how I interpreted that as. So it's good to be creative, but you still have to balance the two. Then I did my fall equinox spread. I did the spread from the Seed and Sickle Oracle, which is by Fez Inkrate, published by Liminal 11. And I used the Crow Tarot for this. So the first question was, which goal of my journey have I achieved? And I pulled Temperance. And I literally wrote finding balance between craft and life. So pretty much my gist of this was like, I've gotten better at handling the two, like my practice and life in general. Sometimes it's still a little chaotic, but for the most part, pretty good. Second question was, which area of growth has benefited me the most? And I pulled the Empress, which is nurturing myself in that sense, which has allowed me to take care of myself better and set better boundaries. Then third question was, which element hasn't thrived as well as I hoped? And I pulled the Four of Pentacles. And I wrote financial growth. That hasn't really thrived much as I had hoped. Fourth question was what has held me back? And I pulled the Four of Wands. So I got 2 4s in a row, which was really interesting. And lacking gratitude. So needing to appreciate and celebrate everything that I have in my life already. And then the last question was what should I cultivate more of next season? And I pulled the Page of Swords, and it's being more of a free spirit. So taking a few more risks, cultivate more of a free thinking attitude is what I got with this particular reading. Okay, this I need for another spread. That. Next, we go into another next week's tarot spread. So question again was next week's overall energy. I pulled Harvest. This actually was the last one, I believe. Yeah. So this was the last next week. So this was the last one that I did for September. It was on the 26th. And I interpreted this being all about gratitude and just being grateful for what I have in my life and things like that. So gathering blessings, that fulfillment of what I have already in my life and things like that. And then next week's suggested approach, I pulled Power Over Difficulty, which is reclaiming your power. And pretty much I just stated that gratitude isn't difficult. It's just about changing your mindset on how you see things. So it gave me really Hangman vibes, this card, in that particular sense. And then we have the last Simple Sunday spread. A question was, how can I grow my personal spiritual practice? And I pulled the Wisdom card. So I interpreted this as how I can grow my spiritual practice was through gaining wisdom. So knowledge allows for growth, and wisdom can further any kind of practice. So in that sense, that's how I interpreted it as. And I really like that interpretation because definitely wisdom and knowledge definitely can grow or further anyone's personal practice or spiritual practice in any sense. First point was align beliefs, and I pulled the Queen of Pentacles. This was really aligning my beliefs through planning, linking your beliefs together to get the most value out of them, together rather than just separately. And then second was practice faith. I pulled the Four of Cups, and pretty much I interpret this as, being that I may be a little dissatisfied with my practice, but this provides an opportunity to make changes that are best for me. And then lastly, live your truth. I pulled the Hermit card. Really, self-exploration can lead to personal growth is how I interpreted that particular reading. And then we go into Libra season. Now, these are a bit out of order. As I said, the last few spreads I did a little late. So Libra season and then my new moon was out of order with the rest of the things that I did. So I did the Libra season spread from AP_astrology on Instagram, and I used my Crow Tarot. So the first question was, where does the story of the season begin for me? And I pulled the Seven of Cups. So I interpreted this as being something with many decisions and choices that I need to make. This makes sense actually because I have been thinking about making changes to my channel and things like that, especially for the new year. So I've been thinking about that right when Libra season came up. So I feel like this card fits really well with what was going on at the time. Next question was, what do I need to know as the story unfolds? And I pulled the Empress card. And pretty much just needing to nurture the ideas that I have in order to make like these decisions or changes. And then third question is, where may I encounter a plot twist? I pulled a Death card, and I interpreted this as that I may be facing some difficulties that could arise during making changes, or something that could hold me back in a sense, which happens. Challenges come up, not the biggest. deal in my opinion. So change always happens anyway, especially with a death card. And then lastly, what in this story or narrative can I rewrite? And I have the Queen of Swords, pretty much rewriting my own view on this story. But also needing to remain impartial as well. So I'm making decisions, but I need to be like open-minded in a sense as well. So yeah, that was my Libra season spread. Definitely love that spread though. So good. And then my last one, which was the Libra new moon. This was also from AP_astrology. So I used the Moonology Oracle and Muse Tarot. So I pulled my new moon card in Libra. A new romantic cycle begins. That does not resonate at all, like at all. And I interpreted this as a cycle for new relationships and partnerships, but also new passion projects, a time for new things that you love and bring you happiness. And that resonates a lot more than relationships. Like, I don't really care about that kind of stuff unless it's like a business relationship. I'm not talking about romantic relationship, which in the guidebook, it talks about. So I ignore that. I ignore that so much. So the first question was, what is this new moon trying to show me or remind me of? And I pulled the Empress. I just realized I pulled the Empress a lot in some of my spreads. A lot of nurturing energy from her. So I interpret this as trying to remind myself that I need to nurture my passion projects, my creativity, things like that, as well as the relationships that help me bring my passions to life. I think that's very important as well, especially if I have people supporting me. In terms of question number 2, what steps can I take to embody this energy more intentionally? And I pulled the Knight of Swords, Voices as Swords, and pretty much by taking action towards it. So I find like Knight of Swords is very action oriented in that kind of sense, just bringing things to reality and things like that. And then the third question was, what innate skill can I celebrate or nurture through this embodiment? And I pulled the Two of Cups. And pretty much it's just nurturing the connection you have with your partnerships as well as your projects. So I always say that, when you feel connected to what you are doing, then you end up loving what you're doing even more, which is always the best part of doing any kind of project, in my opinion. So now we're going to move on to new decks. Okay, so in September, I picked up these 2 decks myself, Horror Tarot and the Jack-o'-lantern Tarot. I picked them up because I wanted them for Spooky Month. So these 2 decks are going to be on my channel as unboxings in October. I believe this is the last week of October, and this will be up on the 31st. So yeah, super excited. I also got this new rune set and the Night School Moonlit Magic deck. These both arrived in my RP Mystic Coven welcome box. So if you haven't seen that video, definitely check it out, because I do have a few things to talk about from that video, some books and things. So yes, I did already unbox these on my channel, so they are there. You can definitely go look at them. The links will be down below. I actually started using this month, and I'm really pleased with it. It's very, very interesting. And this I have yet to work with. I do want to work with this particular deck with the 2 books. So that might be a next year thing for me to take on, because I actually really enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would. So I'm actually really excited, like very excited, to dive deep into this and the 2 books that I will show shortly. So let's get into the books. So these 3 books I got as part of the RP Mystic Coven welcome box. I am an ambassador for Running Press, which is so awesome because they do put out some great stuff. I have to say, I'm really impressed with the things that I've been getting for review. The quality has been really nice, honestly, very nice. So yes, this goes with the deck that I just showed. We have the journal here, the Notes of Night, and we have the actual book, so the Night School, Lessons in Moonlight rather, Magic and the Mysteries of Being Human. Everything is by Maya Toll. They're all illustrated by Lucille Clerc. These two are also mentioned in the unboxing of that deck, and I do go through them a bit. So yes, definitely will link that video down below, so definitely check it out if you're interested. These are already out, so definitely excited. Then I also received this beautiful book, which I'm really excited about. I started reading it, and so far I'm really loving it. It's The Astrology for Black Girls, a beginner's guide for Black girls who look to the stars. It's written by Jordiana Elizabeth and illustrated by Shelley Carroll. And I absolutely love it so far. So good. Such good information. And I will have a review on this up sometime in November is my goal to have it up. And I did show this in the welcome box video, so you'll definitely be able to see a little bit of that as well. Let me talk about it a little bit. And then the review will be up next month, so you'll be able to see a full review of it. Then recently I put up like a haul video of the things that I got recently for review, and I received these two beautiful books. These actually just released, so when you're watching this, these actually released on Tuesday, October 4th, so I'm putting this up tomorrow. So yeah, they released today, so yesterday when you're watching this. So they just came out, and I have been reading a little bit of this so far, and I really like it. I really want a tarot deck with this artwork. Like, please, Running Press, please. I really want. So beautiful, so beautiful. And I'm excited for this. I said in that video when I went through them that I feel like these are not only for kids, because they're geared towards kids. That's what they say on the cover. But I feel like if you're a beginner in tarot or a beginner in magic, or call yourself a baby witch, I feel like these would be great resources, just not to overwhelm you, and just start out with, and then graduate to, you know, bigger books, in my opinion, as they say, you know, books with bigger words and more complex things. So yes, I'm excited to read these fully and do reviews on them. Those should be coming at some point as well. And then we have this that I also got for review, The Queen of Wands, the story of Pamela Coleman Smith and the artist behind the Rider-Waite tarot deck. This is by Kat Willett. This is a graphic novel. And I was like, ooh, I did not know that at all. This is going to be a really quick read, so I'm really excited. I might read this very soon, very, very soon. So yeah, these are the new books that I got. And I'm supposed to be getting some more books, so I'm really excited because, oh my God, I've never been excited to read in my life. Like, believe me, I've read some great books, but I'm really excited to read the books that Running Press has coming out because they seem really, really good. And then a few other things that I received that I wanted to touch on was this Zodiac puzzle, which I will be doing soon. This Palm Street puzzle, which will be up on Monday because this is releasing on Tuesday, October 11th. So I'm super excited. And then this crystal puzzle. It's so pretty. These puzzles look so nice. I'm excited, mainly because I did open them in the haul video. Well, these two I opened in the haul video. This one came in my welcome box, and I didn't open it. And I found out they come with a book, so you get to learn while doing a puzzle, which I find so interesting. Such an interesting concept, in my opinion. So yeah, this is like so great, and I'm really excited to do them because they're going to be very, very fun. Now we get into the last thing, which is YouTube. I only have one video that I wanted to talk about in regards to YouTube, mainly because there was a few other videos I wanted to talk about that interest me, but I never finished watching them. So I didn't finish watching them yet. They're on my list to finish watching, but maybe I'll talk about those next month since I didn't finish watching them. But there's one particular that I did finish watching that I wanted to talk about. So the video that I wanted to talk about was the My Tarot Bucket List VR to Lady Knight of Avalon. This was a video by Coyote Tarot. And of course, I'll link the video down below so you can definitely check it out. Check out her channel. Love her. She's Canadian. I love supporting my Canadian YouTubers. Um, so yes, there was a few other videos that I wanted to talk about, but I didn't get to finish them. So I'll probably talk about them next month. I'm going to be sure to finish them and talk about them next month for sure, for sure. So this is the only one I want to talk about. So I'm really excited because I thought this was a very interesting concept, and I definitely put this on my VR list. So I'll definitely be doing this VR soon, probably for December, since I feel like I'm going into a new year. Definitely things I could be thinking about. So yes, look out for that. Hopefully December. So pretty much what Coyote Tarot did was she made a tarot bucket list for herself of things that she wants to do in regards to tarot. So I really loved a lot of the points that she put on her list. Honestly, there are things that I myself would put on my own bucket list, like, wanting to make more local friends that do tarot as well. I do not have any local friends that are near me where I can talk constantly about tarot. So I definitely need more of those. And then some other things like working on, for example, learning Thoth and other things. For me, I would love to bring, astrology, like tarot and astrology into my practice. I would love to learn Thoth as well. So yeah, things like that, like what kind of expansion on my practice I would do. Is there specific decks that I would want to purchase or anything that I would want to deep dive? So in that regard, in that respect, I really love that video and that VR. So I'm excited to do that for myself. And I really enjoyed, listening to Coyote Tarot and her perspective and her understanding of the tag and what she would put on her tarot bucket list. So that was a really fun video. Really enjoyed it. Definitely go watch it. It's linked down below. I'll also be sure to link it in the cards as well for you. So yes. And the last thing I just wanted to mention was that Cosmic Lunar Soul and I, so Brittany from Cosmic Lunar Soul, and I will be doing a collab. We were supposed to do it on the 2nd of October, but unfortunately we had to push it to the 9th because she wasn't feeling well and I was really tired. I did not sleep well at all. So we moved it to the 9th, and we're going to be doing our 22 faves, which is a hashtag talking about our favorite major arcana cards. So I'm excited for that. If you would like to join us live, it'll be on Sunday, October 9th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will leave the link for it down below. You can sign up to be notified and all that good stuff. So yes, if you want to join us, I hope to see you there in live chat. If not, you could always watch the replay, and it'll be a good and fun time, I think, because we always have a good time. We always have a fun time, actually, when we do collabs. I love collabing with Brittany. She's so fantastic. Definitely go give her love. If you have not subscribed to her channel, go subscribe, especially if you like witchy content. Like, she does a lot of great witchy content in terms of spells and things like that. So she's not only tarot, she does tarot, but she also does witch related things. So that's always fun. And I know there's always people out there that are looking for more channels like that. So definitely go give her love. She absolutely deserves it. So that was my September reflections. I know this was a long video. I hope that you enjoyed it. Of course, I'm still going to be doing tweaks and things on my changes. I might change things again for this particular video series, but I kind of liked how that went. I just, I don't know. Maybe I'll do something different next time. We'll see. I have to think about it. I have to edit, and then while I edit, I'm going to think how this video went. But yeah, let me know in the comments below how your September went. Did you do anything fun? What decks did you use? Did you bring any new decks into your collection? Any new books? Did you read anything great? Love to hear from you, as always, in the comments below. So definitely let me know. I do thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Turn on that bell so you can be notified every time I post a brand new video. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it's greatly appreciated. Thanks so much and have a great day.